very interesting times we're living in, right? You know, it's just very wild, never know what's going to happen next. And it's exciting. At the same time, it's very challenging, and it's also, well, I think never a dull moment, really. So what Trump did was he was planning to suddenly attack Iran and then changed his mind. That's very good. And I do want to say a few comments about all of that. I guess we're not recording yet, so I'll just get away with this. But, you know, because a lot of people think Trump is in charge, and I know there's such a focus on personality when we look at our leaders and the people that are running things. I think you guys are hip enough to know that they are the front people, always. And so when they do things, it's important to realize that it's a stage, and they're utilizing that stage to kind of manipulate the audience one way or another. And oftentimes they want to send you one way and then send you back the other. And I've noticed in the British press, this is very, very common. They will bring something forward and you will protest widely or whatever, and then they will step back a few steps, and that's where they plan to be all along. But they do, you know, the outrageous thing in the beginning to kind of get your dander up, as they say, and get a big reaction. So that's a common ploy. Trump is a master showman. That's, I think, in part why they chose him. And he is doing a very good job in that regard. He's outrageous. He says whatever he wants, and he gets away with it. It is actually, in my view, somewhat refreshing, because the fake, sort of congeniality of politicians is also, extremely boring. So that's what you get, and it is important to sort of try to read between the lines, try to see the subtle thing going on. I think what happened, not only when he was elected, which was not necessarily by the people, but nonetheless, how he got into office is because he was also a reaction to what had all come before. So he was supposed to polarize people. He was supposed to get you into a state where you're just going, this man is mad, he's crazy, et cetera, et cetera. But it's all with an end game in mind, and so it's not to be taken seriously necessarily. The show, it's the show, and understand that he's got a huge, really, a contingent of military people and others behind him who have been behind him from the very beginning and who decided to put him in place. So it's those people that you might be thinking about a little bit more, rather than focusing so much on him and his personality. I don't know, you guys might end up with Boris Johnson. I don't know if you're going to do that. But it's all been planned. We know that I have very good authority on the election. I was communicated with by a Navy guy who they subsequently killed after the election appears. And his name was Rick Davis, and I interviewed him. But off the record, he told me that they were hacking back the election from the Hillary camp, which were hacking the election. So, these are the games being played behind the scenes. It's important to realize it's not as superficial as you might imagine. They're not counting votes like one might hope they would. Okay, so we have Mark Steele with us, and this is very exciting. I guess the first thing I should say is welcome to Awake and Aware 2019, and it's lovely to see you all here. It's a fascinating lineup of speakers, and I hope you will stay for the whole time and appreciate that. I'm very excited to be here and to be hearing these people. And I want to say to all the agents in the room, welcome, and it's always nice to have you here, and don't worry about a thing. We're a very cordial group, so yeah, I'm sure you'll be totally believed and taken at face value. and even those wolves in sheep's clothing, so to speak, are welcome. And so other than that, I'm just going to say Mark Steele is here with us. I have interviewed him, as you may know, on Project Camelot, and it is, I'm sure he has more things to contribute here. We never have enough time online, and we also get weird interruptions, as you know. Please don't, I know this is probably useless, but a lot of the technical problems never show up until we go live. So it's by virtue of, you know, the attacks on whatever's going on. If they really don't want the speaker's information out there, they really go at it pretty hard. So I can't remember exactly what happened with Mark, but it was probably not pleasant. And so here we are in person, and this is such a lovely opportunity and a lovely setting in which to meet each other, get to know people of like minds, and also, of course, the speakers who are here to share their information with us. So Mark is got a military background. He is an expert, a weapons expert, and he is more than qualified to be talking about 5G and the effects of it, the technical information behind it. And I do want to say that we do have in the audience Tim Sandars. I think I've got your name right. I hope I do. And could you stand up, because we're going to ask you to, he has a solution for helping to guard against some of the effects of 5G, and perhaps you and Mark can talk with each other after. I did interview Tim Sandars and Loki. Is it Loki or Loki? Loki? Okay, Loki. I'd rather call him Loki. No, just. But he, you know, this wonderful scientist who is quite a brilliant scientist. I believe he was it Czechoslovakia? Serbia. Okay, Serbia. And he has spent time in Russia. Quite a sophisticated scientist who had been mainstream for, I think, most of his life, a physicist, and then became quite alternative in his view of reality and what actually makes us sort of tick and allows us to supersede anything they throw at us ultimately. And there are various, scientific sort of rationale behind that and techniques that can be taken on board. And so not to be sort of totally depressed, I guess, by whatever you're going to hear here in terms of the 5G and what they plan to roll out and what they are rolling out, actually. Although I have it on good authority, and this I know is going to be taken controversially, but that Huawei, as you may know, the Chinese company, is a big issue. And that's because it's run by China, apparently has back doors into some of the places they've installed it, like Holland, which that was front page news, I think, at one point. And again, these things get planted, right? So it's not like they just discovered there was a back door in Huawei, but they decided to publicize it, is what happened there. And the Brits, of course, know this sort of thing. They're not stupid, and so they will know that their dealings with Huawei do involve even the hard technology. And Mark is probably an excellent person to even talk about that. But I don't want to take any more of his time. I just want to say that, this is a big picture. There's a lot of levels to everything. So rather than jumping to a conclusion or saying someone's full of it or this one's not full of it and this one's got the truth, the real truth, to hold your sort of critical side a bit, keep it a bit at bay for the moment when you listen to information. The best way is just to listen to all of it and then wait and see what resonates, what comes back and says to you that, wait, this seems solid. And we are very good at knowing what resonates in terms of truth. You don't be mistaken. You have all the equipment you need to discern the truth. It's just a matter of tapping into it, and it will work for you. So please welcome Mark Steele. Hello, everyone. How are you? Good, good. Welcome to Awake and Aware 2019. Are we rolling? Okay, very good. So what we want to do is I want to introduce our lovely speaker, and this is Patricia Corey, and she's the author of, is it 12 books? 14 books. God. 14 books. And she is a channeler from the Syrian Council, and there may be some nuances to that sort of title. And she is very close to the dolphins and whales on the planet, and she's going to talk about that and much more. So what I do want to say is we are in a very interesting time. There is evidence lately that there are people that are not being able to keep up to speed with the changes. And it seems that they may be kind of slowing down, not moving forward with the rest of us. And if you can understand that dilemma and start to sort of be aware of it. So we have Pierre Sabak here. And he is a fabulous researcher, investigator and writer. And I had him on my show, and he talked about what he calls the alien code in language, and goes quite deep in terms of the symbolism, the philosophy, and really the, what do you want to call it, eschatology, and really the origins of language, and it's quite a brilliant thinker. Very talented man, I have to say. We're very, very pleased to have him here today. A relatively new on the scene, if you will. So he's not appeared on a ton of shows yet, and so we kind of feel quite proud that we were able to connect with him, and you know, these people sometimes they contact me out of the blue, and I have to assess whether they're crazy or whether they actually have something worthwhile to contribute. So in this case, I'm very pleased that made the connection with Pierre. So this is Pierre Sabak, and please do welcome him. Thank you. I do want to say that just as a reminder, so everyone can basically kind of sweep the room and kind of clear out the sort of any dark energy that has happened to come along. And if you're feeling sort of fatigued or down and out about the situation, just remember that this is a challenge. It's a soul challenge for all of us, and that we elected to come here and to be here and to experience this from this vantage point of whatever, you know, particular vantage point you are and have at this time. So not to be daunted by the challenges before us, because they are many, and they are actually quite sophisticated at this time, which only means the human race is actually moving up, and really raising its vibration. And that's what happens. You raise your vibration, your frequency, and you actually get more challenges. That's kind of the name of the game. So just to be aware, and have maybe a positive view of it as challenge, as opposed to like a downer or whatever it happens to be. So you can visualize white light just clearing the room around you in a spiral fashion, and we're going to have Miles Johnston, who is he tells me he was an engineer for the BBC.
Engineer for the broadcasting company, Broken Biscuit Company.
All right, and he has really, he's got a legacy of work as really, I would say, an investigative journalist, documentary filmmaker, and he's done some really stunning. He's brought a lot of people to the fore. Some of them turn on you and don't thank you for it afterwards, but that
No. Never happened.
Never happened. Okay, and but that doesn't change how important it is. And he gives them a platform, and he's a very sensitive and lovely presence when he is interviewing, not when he's off the interview stage, but yes?
Miles, just one question. I heard you on a broadcast on Freedom Radio. Are you going to quit?
I'm quitting right now. Okay? That's it. I've had enough. You've just said too much. I'm going now.
Okay. He's also a drama queen, in case you haven't noticed. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not gay.
I didn't say that. Well, okay. I'm not going to go there. So anyway, want to welcome Miles Johnston to Awaken Aware 2019, and very, very pleased to have him. Many people know Simon Parkes, and so I don't think I have to say a whole lot about him. He is, it depends how he wants to frame it. My understanding is he is a mantid / reptilian human hybrid. So that's how I think I might put it. And he is still in contact and has been since he was a kid. And he's also has, I would probably always get it mixed up. So it's a grandfather in MI5 and a mother in MI6. Did I get that right? No. All right. So is it the reverse? Okay. So a mother in MI5 and a grandfather in MI6. And he's also been trained on the black and the white path as a magician. And this combination, as well as his sort of having been a former counselor, British counselor, that was elected to office, as you may know, for several years, having that political office, whatever, gives him an interesting access. And I think that the people that talk to him are probably very, very interesting and are bringing very interesting ideas to the table. And then he has his own sources, as you can appreciate, on his sort of download side or whatever. And so I think that makes him kind of unique in the sector that we're in. And so I hope you will give a warm welcome to Simon Parkes. I just want to say Simon has revealed some things in this talk that are quite important. So I just want to say kudos to Simon, because he does put himself on the line to do this. And you guys are front and center to the first time that he's revealed some of this, I believe. Correct? So just want to say I think that we should give him a standing ovation for putting himself on the line and for giving us this wonderful information and encouragement.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I don't deserve that, but I accept your offering out of love, and to do anything other than that would be to reject that, and I don't want to reject that, so I want to thank you. Before I hand the microphone back to Kerry, there were some of you that did answer some questions really well. Now, who was it? There's someone really answered the question well. Could you like this? You have to give it. No, you can't see through that one.
You want to give away anything else? No, just kidding. Okay. So thank you, everyone, for being here today and for witnessing this. Anyway, I'm very pleased to have Laura Loudon. Is it Loudon?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Okay, it's Laura Loudon, and she has a fascinating story. I was just really stunned when I saw her being interviewed by Miles, and so we arranged to have her here, and I'm thrilled to death that she was able to make it. So it's quite a treat for you guys, because she's not very well known yet. And she's got a stunning story, really. So, Miles, you want to say a few words?
This is really serious stuff. Laura is one of the bravest and most wonderful individuals I've known. She has come down with D through the most severe snowstorms the whole way from Bonnie Scotchland. And I keep putting those little stupid little anecdotes into the thing because this is really heavy stuff. And she came down. Would you be quiet in the seat? And she sat down, switched the lights on, lights, camera, action, and she delivered her story eloquently and concisely. And the stuff that's going on with this is the human trafficking and soul and body swapping that's going on. And you've got a little birdie who'd sometimes give you some good advice. But also, when she appeared on the first two shows, a guy called Dave Marrow recognized her. Now, Dave Marrow is one of the people who'd been trained in Burnworthy Manor for the British Super Soldier Programme, the flawed British Super Soldier Programme. So we're also connecting. There's a number of names I can't mention, but you've got a little bit of an eye configuration, which is shared by somebody. Do you want to say the name? Madeleine McCann. So there's another big can of worms we're opening up there. We're talking trafficking, child trafficking, to order, and you shouldn't have even had those children to start with, young woman. She shouldn't have been able to have those children. So suddenly, after 7 or 8, 14 years, you have 2 kids, and then they're taken off you. Anyway, that's your story.
Tony Topping is a very, very interesting guy. He has been on, I guess, British TV several times. They're talking to him about his encounters with extraterrestrials, as they call them, and as well as artificially intelligent craft that seem to be some kind of interfacing with Tony there. So that's quite an interesting dynamic as well. So basically, that's about all I can say about Tony, because I don't know much else about him other than I've heard him talk a few times, and he's always got very interesting encounters and things that are happening to him, or with him, however you want to kind of look at that.